So, welcome to Leave a Legacy live stream. Yes, it's a Wednesday, and I'm sure you're all looking forward to catching up with our leader for today. And yes, where this is the platform where we share stories that inspire, connect, and equip us to make an impact that lasts well beyond ourselves. And it's just been awesome that we've been journeying along with becoming a person of influence at a Legacy X Leadership Roundtable. And we finished that book. So it's just awesome that we finished not only the 15 Laws of Growth by John Maxwell, put a dream to the test, but also becoming a person of influence. Because it's always important to highlight this group, Legacy X. It's all about becoming a high performing leader and ensuring that you grow your leadership. But today we are diving into a topic that's very close to my heart, the migrant journey. It's about resilience, growth, and creating a mission bigger than our own story. So, us segment, the topic for today is called Beyond a Migrant Story, a Mission in Motion. So, I'm so excited to have a truly inspiring guest join us. So, our guest is none other than Ishita, and for me, it's amazing because I have had the opportunity to work with her through the International Students Ministry at church, and she's also part of my church. And yes, she wears many hats. So she is an ICT planning and delivery coordinator at Brimbank City Council. She's leading that team that's delivering large scale transformation and uplifts programs, but she's got experience across events. So, IT, journalism, she brings creativity and innovation to every solution she designs. So, beyond her professional work, Ishita has also served as a council member for the Victorian Multicultural Commission, hosted at TEDx events, and regularly mentors international students. So, her journey is going to be a beautiful blend of resilience, vision, and impact, and I can't wait for you to hear it. So, as I always do, please get your pen, get your paper ready, and we're going to deep dive into it. So, Ishita, let's give a big round of applause to Ishita. Welcome to Leave a Legacy.
Thank you, Joby. Thank you so much.
It's so amazing to have you on board, and I know we have had this conversation, and we were discussing what topics do we walk through, and it's great that we landed on that migrant topic, and because that's what we want to set that stage, and we want that identity and belonging because that's who we are and that's our journey. So let's start off right at the start. What does home mean to you now? Is it a place? Is it a feeling, or perhaps even a person?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, and a lot of people have asked me, "What is home? What feels like home?" And I would say it's a lot of different things. It's a culmination of, I would say, all the things that you mentioned. It's a place, it's a feeling, it's a person. But over time, I think to me, home I would describe more as a journey, something that's evolving. So it's a place because of the four walls that give you a space to unwind after a busy day. It's the walls that you decorate, the height chart. As we were growing older, we had the height chart on a wall to measure how much taller we are getting with the year. It's the memories on another as well. It's a feeling because of the emotional and the mental space that makes you feel comforted. It's people, right? It's the banter with my sisters, it's the warmth of my parents, and it's the adventures that I share with Chris, my partner. I guess in the end, home feels like a blend of all of those things: the people, the places, the feelings of peace, and that sense of belonging. And of late, I've been calling Australia my home from the past 8 years.
That's awesome because it's always good to know where the home base is and what does that mean to a person because sometimes it's very unique and it's very personal. So and for me, my house name or the name I'm calling my home is Ohana.
Mm,
And I don't know if you know the meaning of Ohana, but Ohana from Lilo and Stitch means family doesn't
yeah.
behind. So yeah, so that's our That's what home means to me, so that we family doesn't mean leave anyone behind. So that's good. We've set the stage, and now let's talk about building resilience in a new environment, right? Because, like you said, you've moved over from India to Australia. So moving into a new country brings so many challenges. So, in what ways have you found or created a sense of power and urgency in your new environment?
Yeah. So when I first moved places from, this was when I went to Chennai in India to do my engineering, and then to Mysore, which is a state in Karnataka, again the southern part of India, and now more recently to Australia. So I've been very aware of the uncertainties that come with being in an unfamiliar territory, so to speak. Everything, from the place people interact to the unspoken rules of communication to the expectations of, I think, how you participate, it feels like it requires careful navigation, especially at the start. So often when I was much younger, I would have thought that I would have to shrink myself to fit into it, and then that there is this wonderful mold that just need to beautifully fit into. But gradually, through my experiences, I've began to realize that my multicultural background gave me a unique form of power and agency here. So, having grown across different cultural contexts, I've already learned the skill of adaptation. And as migrants, I think we have mastered the skill of adaptation in a way. I was familiar with shifting between different ways of speaking, thinking, and behaving, depending on the environment I was put in. Rather than being destabilized, I think, by the newness of all of it, I've kind of shifted my mindset to make sure that I draw confidence from knowing that I've done this before and that it isn't new anymore. So that kind of adaptability has helped me kind of find my footing and reminded me that being new is not a weakness, but a position that I've often turned into strength. So I'd probably repeat that again for myself. Being new is not a weakness. And I think all the viewers joining us from different parts of the world, it's just a reminder, being new is not a weakness, but that's basically all the journey that leads you to that position. That's basically your strength. Beyond adaptability, what my background has also given me is perspective. So now when I go into different board meetings and meeting rooms, I can interpret situations through multiple lenses, right? So understanding one, both explicit messages and also the subtle cultural cues that might be sitting underneath. So where others might see that the only way of approaching a challenge is one way, I could offer alternate solutions, and that has actually shaped my leadership style and how I work with people from different continents. Um, I think my multicultural identity has also helped me build connections. I know that it feels how it feels to be new to an area, new to a group, new to a job. So I approach all of my relationships with also empathy and openness. I think over time, in reflection, this has helped me creating a sense of belonging, not only for myself, but also for others who might feel unseen or who might feel like I just need to have a corridor chat. In doing so, I've realized that agency doesn't always come from asserting dominance. I actually feel that that's a very bad leadership style. It often comes from creating those bridges, mending those gaps, fostering understanding, and also amplifying voices that might otherwise just remain quiet for whatever reason. Um, so, in many ways, my power in this new environment has come from embracing all that I am rather than downplaying the complexities of my identity and my migrant background. I've seen my parents and my sisters wade through challenges and grow, all while calling it opportunities to learn and grow. And I truly feel that my identity and upbringing has had a huge, huge role to play. Instead of trying to conform into that mold, I've leaned kind of into my differences and reframed them as my strength. Um, and now I'm using it as a toolkit that helps me navigate, influence, and thrive.
Yeah. No, that's so great that you share that, because sometimes in your journey we don't actually see the golden nuggets and the way you actually lined it out clearly. I'm sure every migrant, every multicultural professional would have had that experience, and you put it in very simple words. So thank you for doing that, Ishita. That was really, I would say, valuable, especially, and for me, brought a lot of memories as well. As you started from Chennai to Mysore, and then all the way up to boardrooms, right? So that was just amazing. So that's good. And now let's move from less resilience in a new environment to lessons from the past, right? And I love stories. And so, is there a story from your past or even from your ancestors that has taken on new meaning in your life right now?
Yeah, actually, plenty of stories that I can think of. But for this conversation, we'll keep it to one story. So I think one of the stories that I've been thinking about quite a lot since, especially since moving to this new country, um, is that of my parents, especially my mothers and grandparents. So they moved to Patna, which is a city in Bihar in North India. So growing up, I've heard about, in passing, the move, the differences, the language barrier, but I've never truly kind of grasped what it really meant. Um, to me, as a child, it was part of a family's background, a practical decision, that they had made for their future. But now, as I'm getting older, or I'm having more experience in different situations, I find myself doing that, right? Navigating new environments. And I look back at their journey with a fresh perspective. Moving to Patna wasn't just a change of location, it was a test of their resilience, so to put it. They had to adapt to a different place of life, find their place in a different city, build connections, build relationships that could sustain them through the unfamiliar surroundings of that time. So what seemed ordinary now, it stands out as an example for me, as an example of their courage, their adaptability, and quiet determination. Their story has also become a lens through which I see my own challenges or how I wade through my own storms. So when I face uncertainty, I remind myself that they too once started from a place of discomfort. And in fact, all great things start from a place of discomfort. The lesson I take from them is that belonging isn't automatic, it's created through openness and the willingness to grow into new spaces. Putting this example in a more professional sense, their experience has kind of shaped how I approach my own work. It reminds me that adapting to a new environment, adapting to a new place, and resilience are not just survival skills. They're a form of strength and agency in itself. So, in a lot of ways, I think for me, it's seeing my parents, my father's grit and determination, my mother's silent courage and encouragement that has been really the wind beneath my wings. Whether it's stepping into a new role or joining a different team or even navigating change, I carry the example with me. And really, the moral of their story, in retrospect, and the moral for me now, is that the ability to adapt is not about losing who you are, but about using your roots and your background and your experience to find stability and strength in unfamiliar places.
Yeah, and I love that story that you've put it through, because not only have you put it from your personal, but also from a family perspective,
Mm.
and the challenges that every family have has to go through, and how do you navigate that? So I think that's very important, and how that has actually taken on that new lens or the new perspective in your life right now. So thank you, Ishita, for sharing that. And I know it's all about redefining success, right? Because I can see quickly, very young, that that you're already having making strides in your professional career, and and because you've had a very dynamic journey across borders and industries, how have you personally redefined success for yourself along the way?
That's a very good question again, Jyoti. So when I was young, I think when probably I was doing my middle school, I thought of success in a very traditional kind of term, right? Success to me at that point would have meant good marks, getting a stable job or a job, and recognition from others, right? So my teachers giving me good marks and putting some nice feedback there. So that was the framework that I kind of worked with a good portion of my life, or a good portion of my younger self. But I think as I've moved through different environments myself, I've started to see success quite differently. Each new place, I think, has brought its own challenges, whether that be Chennai when I was studying, Mysore when I took up my first work, Australia, Melbourne specifically when I came in as a totally new person into this new country, feeling like I just did not belong or I was new. Learning how to adapt and figuring out was quite a big part of my journey. And now I realize that they were successes in their own right, right? So I'm very proud of, I think all of us, when we come to a new country, it takes a lot of resilience and strength to be here without a support system and to kind of pave your own way. So I think of those little things as my success. Um, in a sense, I've also grown in a family that has encouraged me to always think outside the box, voice out my concerns, be kind, and have a growth mindset. So a lot of my upbringing, I think, has just helped me shape the definition of success in the later years as well. And every time I learned to how to adapt, build a new relationship, or carried my cultural identity with pride into a new space, I was achieving something meaningful, even if it didn't fit the earlier definition of success. Um, I always think of a quote, right? So from Mark Twain, which says that the two most important days in your life is the day that you're born and the day you find out why. It's quite interesting because finding the why is such an important piece into the puzzle of your personal growth. I found my why when I joined. I think one of the IT organizations I joined back in India as my first job, and largely it is about finding your why, which could honestly look and feel very different from someone else. So today's success for me is very less or not at all about external measures and more about my inner growth. It's about resilience that I practice, the ability to start over without losing myself. It's also about, and a huge part of it is also empathy, being able to connect with people who are also navigating uncertainty. And it's also about balancing. So carrying forward the values my family instilled in me while also creating my own path. Um, it's not about proving myself to others, and I don't think it should ever be, but it's always about asking myself, am I learning? Am I growing? Am I staying true to my values? Am I embracing change? And am I feeling some sort of discomfort, right? Because if you are in situations that are making you feel uncomfortable, and if you're checking yes to all of the other questions I ask, then probably you are growing and succeeding.
Mm. Yeah, I love that because you summed it up with growth, right? So not only growing yourself, but by growing yourself, you're actually growing others. And that's what I feel John Maxwell's quote is be a river, not a reservoir.
Mm,
You know, people I see sometimes becoming reservoirs that they're just doing all the education, they're doing all the personal development, but they just keep it to yourself.
mm.
And but here it's being a river and just sharing all that knowledge. And that's how I see that growth, that that legacy that you are leaving is coming towards that. So thank you so much for highlighting that, Ishita. So I love reflecting as well. So let's reflect that if you could go back and tell your, let's say, pre-migration self, right? Or you could say to the young Ishita, right? One thing, what would that be?
I have a whole list ready of what I would say to younger Ishita. uh, but I think
I know we don't have enough time, so let's.
but yeah, we would keep it to one. If I could tell my pre-migration self, I think one thing, it'll be basically don't be afraid of feeling out of place or being new. In the beginning, I think you will carry the weight of comparison between where you came from and where you're now. And it can feel quite unsettling, as if you have to choose between your different identities. But in time, you'll see that you don't have to choose. You can carry both with pride, both your identities with pride, and do that in itself. Doing that itself is a strength. So I've mentored international students previously, led workshops, volunteered towards social causes. And every time someone asks me why I do what I do, the answer is to encourage people to take new challenges and faith in themselves. Sometimes I think we forget that there is so many unique things that make you you, right? And there's nobody like Joby, there's nobody like me, there's nobody like you, and there's nobody like our viewers today. I would remind myself that discomfort of starting over, like which we have to do quite a lot as migrants, is not again a sign of weakness, but it's like the first step in building resilience. Every small act that you're kind of putting towards your growth, finding your footing in a new system, making connections, or even just showing up as yourself is progress, is success, even if it doesn't feel like success at that moment. Um, I think the second advice in that segment that I'd give myself would be just to be patient with yourself. It's migrating to a new country isn't just about moving borders. It's moving through uncertainty and slowly creating that sense of belonging. And while it doesn't happen overnight, you will eventually realize that the parts of yourself that you feared that would get lost, it actually becomes the pillar and the foundation of your strength. Um, so yeah, I would just tell my pre-migration self, trust the process. You'll be more resilient, more adaptable, and a more whole than you can imagine right now.
I love that. I love how being resilient, being adaptable, and being whole is all part of your vocabulary, and how often you say that. So I can hear that you had to have a lot of experience, a lot of growth in those areas. So well done on the post migration, Ishita, and for sharing to many pre-migration or migrants who are part of Legacy X group who are thinking, and if you are in the right place, it's just amazing. So, and it's great because I get a lot of questions who are abroad because I manage the church website, you could say Facebook page, like I want to migrate and what are the key areas, right? So definitely those sharing those values make a big difference. So now let's move from reflection to exploring purpose and legacy. So uh, I know we've called this segment Beyond a Migrant Story, a mission in motion. So what does this mission look like for you right now? And how do you see it evolving in the future?
I think my mission right now is, and I'll probably go back to one of the leadership books that I absolutely love, right? So
Hmm.
I think as a leader right now and growing as a leader right now, my mission is really to produce more leaders, not more followers. I would have done really something wrong if I'm creating more followers. So I want to make sure the next set of leaders or the leaders that are being mentored by me right now, they're more open, they're more courageous, they are more um, yeah, they're thinking outside the box, and that'll be probably my legacy. It's to make confident people who have got empathy for others, and who also have people at the center of everything that they do. Now, in IT, a lot of the things that, which is the business I'm in, a lot of things or a lot of systems that you make is actually for people. So making sure they understand that while we could make fancy systems, best of breed, best of kind, it just doesn't work if it doesn't work for your user base or for your cohort, which is other people. So teaching them empathy, teaching them while making sure that I am embodying the skills and the values that I preach, right? One very important one is balance. We often, as migrants, often as individuals as well, irrespective of being a migrant or not, we forget about having balance in our life. So making sure I'm creating balanced, empathetic, confident leaders of tomorrow by portraying myself as one as well.
Hmm. No, that's well said, Ishta, because it's so important that we need to highlight what our growth and our journey has been, and to be like you said, right? I don't want to, and to call it out, I don't want to bring up followers, and if that's what I'm doing, and I'm not doing my job right, or I'm not living my purpose right, because So because I know even from the Bible it says that we have been born to lead and not born to follow. So that is where that comes out from. So I think that's awesome. So if I could ask, if someone is hearing your story today and this takes just one message, what do you hope that message will be? And what is that one piece of advice you'd love to give to a pre-migration Legacy X professional, from your story? What would be that advice be?
Yeah. I think one of the key advices would be trust yourself. There is nothing in the world that you cannot do. It just probably needs a little bit of effort. And as I said earlier, if you feel uncomfortable in a situation, always remember you're growing. So always surround yourself and be uncomfortable. Ask questions, trust yourself, and trust the process.
So there you go, listeners, Legacy X family, be uncomfortable, trust yourself, and put yourself out there. So thank you so much, Ishita, for sharing your journey with us today. And your story is powerful. Reminder that our experiences, both the struggles and the triumphs, can shape not only who we are, but also who we impact. Right. So if all the leaders, all the Legacy X family, if you've been watching, and if Ishita's journey has resonated with you, please take a moment, right, to reflect on your own story. So, what challenges have shaped you, and how can you turn those experiences into a mission that moves beyond yourself? So, please feel free to connect below. And do you want to share one last, Ishita, about whatever? How can people get in touch with you? And maybe you could post below your LinkedIn profiles or any way people want to, connect with you. So, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Absolutely, absolutely. More than happy for anybody to contact me via LinkedIn. I'll put in my profile in comments. Also, if it's easier, just ping me on Facebook as well. My name is as it is written here. Well, it's Ishita Shireen, but I'm pretty easy to find, and more than happy to kind of help to grow. Yeah.
Absolutely, and it's so amazing that we have Ishita part of the Legacy X family. So, and that's the beauty about this mission, right? I can't do it alone. We need to collaborate, and we are collaborating with leaders who want to make an impact and a difference. So thank you, Ishita, for sharing your heart. Really appreciate it. And thank you everyone for joining us on A Leave a Legacy. And until next time, keep striving to lead with purpose and to create a legacy that truly lasts. Thank you so much.
Thank you.